to the Women Entrepreneurs Series. I'm Kristen Price, your host, and I'm so ecstatic to introduce to you guys Miss Gina Razon. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. I want to read her bio to you guys because it is awesome. Gina Razon is the founder and CEO of Grow Voice, a Boston-based voice and communications firm. For over 18 years, Gina has helped individuals and organizations use their voices to communicate better. She is recognized for being the calm voice of clarity as she helps others connect the intention behind their ideas with their desired goals. Gina holds a BM and MM in voice performance. She is an appreciative inquirer facilitator and associate teacher of Fitzmaurice voice work and a certified teacher in somatic voice work. She has served as the voice coach for TEDx Cambridge and speaks at national and local events on the power of embodied voice. Gina is a member of the Voice Foundation, the Voice and Speech Trainers Association, and the National Speakers Association, and the Center for Appreciative Inquiry. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I introduce to you Miss Gina Razon. Razon, let me get it right. Oh, that was a long thing, and it's so awesome. Thank you, Gina, for being here. Yay!
My pleasure. Thank you, Kristen, for having me.
You know, your introduction is so awesome because as I'm reading your bio, I'm thinking about this. Am I articulating correctly? Because she is the one that's going to tell me if I'm messing up.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I speak to people, one of the things that I notice is because they know that I do functional voice or that I do communications, they start to speak better just as a result of being in a conversation with me. So, and they're like, "What did you do to me?" I'm like, "Nothing. That was all you."
Look, I just walk around with you all the time. Like, hey, come on, Gina, come with me, please. No, let me come to Boston. No, that is so awesome. And I love that. Now, you are a coach, but how did you become a coach? Just specifically, did you just decree yourself as a voice coach, or did you have to take classes and things like that to get into that level of what you do?
It's interesting. I took a very interesting journey. I went to college to be an opera singer. And it's pretty much everything I wanted to be since I was a little girl was I'm going to be an opera singer. Actually, I was going to be a ballerina opera singer, but you know how those things work out. I had to pick one. So I went to college as actually I worked a little bit before college, but I went to college. I became a uh, a voice performance expert, I guess, and did classical voice. I worked professionally as an opera singer for many years.
Wow.
And like most people who work professionally in voice, you have to do something else in the off season or because you didn't get cast in enough shows to kind of make the dollars make sense for your rent.
Right.
And so one of the things that I did initially was teach voice, teach singing. And that was great. I love to teach singing, and I was very interested in how the voice works and how the body works. And the way my body came to singing wasn't very natural. I had to figure out a lot of physiology and a lot of what is my brain doing and why does it not work the way the image that the teacher is putting in front of me is
Right.
supposed to work. So, having to figure out that for myself, I was able to give those tools of actual physiology and neurology to my students. And the more I dealt with singing students, the more I thought to myself, why are we siloing this information
Right.
for only conservatories, only people who want to pursue either acting or professional voice? There's no need for us to take what are really essential tools for everybody and decide they only belong to this small group. So it's liberation work, I think, for me to decide that I was going to teach speaking. And then I decided that public speaking wasn't exactly what I wanted to teach. I wanted to actually teach people how to embody themselves and center themselves in their voice. And
Right.
it just grew from there. So it wasn't that I said, I'm going to become a voice coach. It wasn't that I said that I was going to have this consulting business. It's that I kept following my interest down the rabbit hole. And
That's
I'm not
powerful.
done, you know, like I feel like I'm still very interested in how things work. There's a
Right.
lot we don't know about the brain still. So I'm always very excited when something that we believed was true about the brain suddenly gets debunked because our knowledge is different.
Right.
That to me is very exciting.
That, I mean, it is. I'm so interested. I'm trying to think, what is my next question? Because I have so many questions for you. This is so powerful. But now you talk about the scientific side. I don't even, you said neurological and physiological. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna tell you how I understand all that, but I want to know, what is it that, because we can speak things, and a lot of times they'll say when you have it in your head, things don't really happen for you. But when you begin to speak them and write them down, there's power in what our voice speaks out. So, is there a connection with what we do and what we say? That
Yes.
makes sense. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's really interesting because the tissues, the thyroarytenoids, the muscles that we call the vocal folds,
Hmm.
they have a lot of jobs, and their primary jobs are survival related. They're not about voice and speech at all. So it begs the question, why do these muscles feel like they had to, in this organism, become a communication device? I think that it has a lot to do with who we are as people and how we want to connect to each other.
Right.
So
Right.
when we can find the way to actually listen deeply to what it is that you're trying to say, what your intention is, what it
Mhm.
is that you're trying to connect with another person about, and the more truthful you can be with yourself and the more authentic you can be with yourself, the clearer your words come into the room, the more centered you are in what you're trying to say. So whether that's the written word
Mhm.
or my favorite, the way we put those audible words into the space, the closer it is to your body, to your physicality, to the way you are,
Mhm.
the truer it's going to be in the room.
Wow. And so you're saying true in the room, the truer the people will receive it, the connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can always tell. I mean, everybody has had the experience. They walk into the room and somebody starts talking, and you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And we have all sorts of opinions. Either we start judging their voice, like, is it too high? Is it too low? Why do they talk like that? Or
Right.
we start believing that what they're saying isn't true. Or we
Mm.
start thinking, well, maybe it's true, but I don't know. Or sometimes we decide in a split second, I just don't like that person. They haven't
Yeah.
said much. Or the opposite. I don't know why. Like they've said 3 words. That's my BFF. I love that person.
Wow. That's
It
powerful.
has, yeah, it has a lot to do with how confident we are as we see somebody interacting with their own body and their own breath, that they're trying to be an honest dealer with us, that they're trying to give us something of themselves.
Yes, yes. Even as we speak in the interviews, and I love to flow. I don't really like to pre-plan our questions because I like to flow. I want to hear what you have to say. And the same way I love the conversation. So it's so powerful. Now, what can leaders, and this is for women entrepreneurs, ladies, you're watching this, you've already said we need to be authentic. What are other things we can do as leaders to communicate in a better way to our customers or employees and things like that? What are ways? What are things we can do to articulate?
I'm glad you asked that question because I love that question.
Okay.
I think that the primary thing we have to do before we even start to speak
Hmm.
is to understand why we're in this conversation. Who am I talking to? What do I need to happen? And what does this person in front of me need to understand about what I do or what I'm saying in order to do what I need to happen? So how do I get to a place of understanding?
Hmm.
The first place we start is the stuff that happens before people start thinking. The first thing you get from me when I enter a space is my breath.
Right.
You see me breathing, and you can determine whether I'm comfortable in my own skin, whether, even if I'm not, even if I'm nervous, am I breathing? Am I being generous with the way oxygen is being shared within us? And if I jump that barrier, then you can listen to the tone of my voice and think to yourself, okay, so this person is using enough air. Are they approaching me as someone who is safe? Our
Right.
brain has very different ways of interacting with the world than we think. When you engage with someone, your brain says, is this person a threat? Are they a sexual partner? Or are they a safe place? Those are our initial choices. There are a lot
Threat.
more choices.
You say that
Sexual
again?
partner. Are they a threat? Are they a sexual partner? Or are they a safe place?
Wow.
those are the three things that we equate. Actually, some people extend it to four and say there are people that we just think are not worth putting
Talking.
into a category. So they're throwaways. So threat, sexual partner, safe place, or whatever. Which is the worst place to be is whatever, I think. Because at least if you're a threat, you have somebody's attention.
Exactly. Wow.
But when we enter a space, I'm not trying to threaten people. I'm not trying to get people with their ankles up. So I need to show myself to be someone that is open. And I'm certainly not trying in my professional life to put myself forward as a sexual partner for someone.
Right.
I'm trying to be open and generous with what I'm saying and how my body is positioned so that people can have a chance to listen to my words.
Right.
That's before I've even said anything. What I'm saying, my messaging, might not be for everybody, but we can't even get there until the brain decides what category to put you in.
Wow. And you talk about breath and what is it? What type of breath do we, I mean, because I know breathing is huge. So it's like, do we, or just kind of be calm or, how is your breathing supposed to be when you walk into a room or a boardroom or whatever?
Yeah, it's
Introduce yourself.
interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I think everybody has heard take deeper breaths, or you have to take yoga because you have to learn how to breathe like yoga people do. But there are as many breaths as there are messages in the world. If I'm going to laugh, the breath I take to laugh is totally different than any other breath. The
Right.
breath I take while I'm weeping is completely different than any other breath. So when you're going to message, what you need to reach for is the most appropriate breath for your action in that moment, which means you have to be very mindful of what it is you're trying to do.
Wow.
So if
Wow.
what I'm trying to do is communicate to you a concept about what I do or even an idea that I'm having, I have to take breath to energize those ideas. Now, the thing that gets in the middle there is that I might be really nervous about being in front of people or being in front of this particular audience, or I might look out there and see somebody who makes me feel like, oh, they don't think I should be here, and it might be totally not about you at all. But sometimes we perceive things in a space that are not welcoming. Our brain's doing the same thing, going, "Is this a threat? Is this a sexual partner?" Your brain's doing the same thing as you look at other people. So as I look in a room, my charge, my nervous energy might become heightened. So
Hmm.
then my breath has to help me regulate that so I can do my work.
Right.
But
Wow.
but there's not one breath. There's not deep breath for everything or short breaths for everything. It's Goldilocks breath, the most appropriate breath for what you need to do in this moment. And
Hmm.
you have to kind of trust your brain and stay physically open
Yeah.
to get there.
So not, so it's just flowing pretty much. You're saying
It's
flow.
just flowing. Yeah. And you can practice. Like, there are people who breathe really shallowly all the time, or they're always one note on their breath, or they hold their breath a lot, which means that those people have to engage with, learning how to breathe different ways. They do have to learn how to breathe in yoga ways. They do have to pay attention to what is it for me when I take a deep breath? What is it when I take a quick breath? How can I do all of those things in an efficient way that keeps my body receptive?
Right.
But that's the practice part. When you go to do the work, you have to trust yourself and just do your thing.
Wow. Intention. I'll see one thing that you talk about, and you said it multiple times. You said intention, and you were saying the things you think. So it's like, it's not what you say, but it's almost like what happens before you say it. The
Yeah.
body language, I can't explain it, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's interesting. One study, and there's a lot of different studies, but one study that stuck with me, and it's now 20 years old, it's been duplicated, and they can't get this number out of place.
Mhm.
But it basically says that between 17 to 30 seconds after you see someone and hear the first sound they make, you have decided whether you're going to listen and whether you will accept their authority.
Wow.
Now, that's faster than you can actually know what language they're even speaking.
Right. 30, you
The
said 30 seconds?
17 to 30 seconds.
Man, that is, ladies, I hope you're getting this information because this is so good. This is I mean, I love this. It's powerful. The thing is, we're on the internet now. Right now, we're meeting. You're in Boston, I'm in Texas. I'm interviewing you, and so many things are happening online. We're communicating with the Zooms and the things like that. So it's like, when we meet, it's it's either connection or it's not.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so it's a lot of things that are happening that we have to understand how to connect with each other. Now, this is for someone that is like, they're totally afraid of speaking in public. And I'll say, for instance, and my husband gonna get me for saying this, but he's not scared of it. But sometimes his nerves will get on him, and he'll be like, he'll just kind of, not that he freezes, but just his voice will shake, or he didn't want to do that, only sometimes. But it's like, what is it or why is it when we're nervous, our voice just starts to change?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, it's your brain is doing its job. So there's a nerve in your brain called the vagus nerve, and the way your body and your brain communicate is through electrical current.
Mm-hmm.
And so the vagus nerve innervates, it sends current to a lot of different parts of the body to help them work. The parts it's responsible for are the tongue, the vocal folds, swallow, which is a function,
Mm-hmm.
your heart, your lungs, your digestive tract, and a section of your libido. But
Wow.
wait, there's more, because the vagus nerve, things happen in Vegas. Vegas gets ran. So the vagus nerve also runs. There are two systems in your brain that you don't need to know about, but they're the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. And we have reactions that you probably recognize: fight, flight, and freeze. Most people know fight or flight, even if they don't know freeze. And so fight, flight, and freeze are also functions that are being run by the vagus nerve. So when you perceive a threat, the threat being, oh my goodness, maybe these people aren't going to like me, or oh my goodness, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a good job, or oh my goodness, I just really need this to go well. Your brain says, are you in danger? Let's put fight, flight, freeze on standby. So are you going to fight? Are you going to run? Are you going to lock up? And even if you don't trigger one of those fully, your vagus nerve is still going, I don't know about this, and sending all sorts of electrical current. So maybe too much saliva ends up in your mouth, or maybe your heartbeat starts going really, really fast or really, really slow. Your lungs could be able to give you a full breath or not. And your
Right.
vocal folds might be like, I just don't even remember how to come together without shaking. All of that is normal. In fact, some people get so nervous that they have digestive issues before they speak. Like, I have to speak in 2 minutes, bathroom time, and they feel really silly about it.
Think-
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is the most normal thing because the neural ganglia that innervates the vocal folds and the speaking that you're going to do innervates all of those systems. So it's
Wow.
all really related. So even if you're not getting into an extreme situation with those things,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's a flutter through it, which is why when people come to see me in the practice, what I call it all charge. I don't care if it's saliva, I don't care if it's your heartbeat, I don't care if it's your digestion. It's just current. So we deal with
Just
it.
current.
It's just current. We deal with it as charge. We want a good level of charge so you can do your work. Too much charge is a problem. Too little charge is a problem.
So you say current is just current. What does that mean?
Oh, we're an electrical system. Humans are like a battery. So our brain
Energy.
communicates, yeah, our brain communicates from one part of the brain to the other by sending electrical current, and it communicates with the body. The only reason your brain knows where your big toe is because current travels from
Yeah.
your big toe to your brain.
Wow.
So it's one of those things everybody has experienced. I'm walking around the room and I zap something. And you're like, where did that come from? Well, it's, you're shuffling and you're picking up static and you are an electrical system, so you can conduct it.
That is so cool. This is like I'm like taking a class. This is awesome. Thank you, Gina. This is fun stuff to me. Um, I love that you were a singer. And can I ask you, what were you, soprano, alto, tenor?
I'm mezzo soprano and I sang mostly Verdi, although I sang a few Carmens as well, which was plenty
Wow.
of fun.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Are you still singing now?
I still sing, but mostly for fun. I decided somewhere along the way that there are definitely easier ways to make a buck. So now I sing for my own pleasure rather than for my sustenance.
That makes sense. That's so it's fun for fun
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
enjoyment. That's awesome. Now, the type of I want to ask because you said you help people in business to communicate. Who like what is your client base? Who do you normally work with?
It depends. So my one-on-one clients tend to be primarily women, a lot of women of color, and that, is partially preference and partially just who ends up getting attracted to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it is a lot of people who are either running their own business or have gotten beyond kind of a middle managerial place, and they're like, okay, so the company wants me to stop here. Like, we have a woman in management. We're done, but she might not be done. So
Right.
there are communications challenges to be uh, navigated in those situations because of a lot of what high-powered women will hear is, oh, we'd promote you, we'd make you partner, except you're a little aggressive, or we'd like to give you a promotion, but you sound like a little girl, or you sound too young, or we would like to do XYZ, we'd give you a promotion, but you don't have the confidence. All of that's misogyny, but they point it towards the voice as
Mm-hmm.
if that's the problem. So we develop techniques so that they're going to have to dig really deep for another excuse.
Wow, that's powerful. Ladies, here you go. You need this help. You better get with Miss Gina. Come on. Uh, now for people that are, for instance, they're looking and they want to just stop being nervous, like you were saying, the current. Um, what could they do? What are, I mean, top three things that they can do to communicate and remove the nerve, like they can actually do or they can practice?
Absolutely. So the first thing is stop fighting your body. When the nerves come up, people are so anxious to make it stop
Yeah, yeah.
that they forget that your brain is doing everything it can in this moment to protect you from what it perceives as a threat. It has no malice towards you at all. So even if the reaction is big, kindness is your first path. Because if you start really getting anxious and freaking out, your brain is going to be, oh my goodness, this is worse than I thought.
Panic, panic.
Throw in the adrenaline. We got some more enzymes. Throw some more reactions in there. Because, the more anxious you get about your anxiety, the worse it's going to get. And everybody who's done this knows exactly what I mean. The worst thing you can do when you're really angry is say, stop being mad. Or when you're about to cry is don't cry, don't cry. It's almost asking for the reaction to be bigger than you intended. So the first thing is respect your body. It's
All right.
just trying to help you. The second thing is you will always find stability in your breathing. And my favorite exercise for this is to just slow your breathing down. So take in a count of four, inhaling four, holding your breath for four, exhaling for four, and then holding your breath again for four, and then breathing normally. And you can do that over and over again. So if you practice that right now, you inhale through your nose, preferably for four counts, just slow in your mind, hold your breath for four counts, and then exhale for four counts, then hold your breath again for four counts. And when you go back to breathing normally, there's just a relief and a calm in yourself because you brought yourself back to what you know the best. As confused as we are about our bodies and as much as we criticize them all the time, we live here. We
Yeah,
don't know anything better than we know these bodies.
absolutely.
So if you can bring yourself back to your body, everything comes down a notch. Which isn't to say that your nervousness will go to zero. It's just to give yourself time to say this nervousness means that this matters to me and I can navigate this because me and my body are not separate.
Right. Absolutely.
So that would be the second thing, first, respect your body. Second, get to your breathing. And third, make sure you're prepared enough for the work you've tried to do. So if you feel like you've gotten into a situation and you're really nervous because you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know who you're speaking to, or you feel somehow unstable about this situation, sometimes in a way you can't control. If you got called into somebody's office and you didn't know you were about to have a meeting, you could go from 0 to 80 really, really
Like,
fast.
yeah, absolutely.
So in that situation, you're going to have to take the time during. So rather than like trying to make it end as soon as possible by speaking as quickly as possible, separating yourself into, I'm going to take a box breath now, and I'm going to listen to what they said, and I'm going to answer them slowly, and I'm going to take another box breath. And I'm not going to think of what I'm going to say next. I'm going to really listen in this moment and slow myself down so that I can do myself the best service in the situation that I might not have asked for.
Wow.
So
Wow.
those I think are three tactics that anybody can take on. You could start doing that today
Yeah.
and just be better off.
That's powerful. You say this because I can think about just communicating with anybody, especially at home and with husbands. But when you have to really listen to what they say and not think about what you want to say next, that is important with anybody. Not just at
Absolutely.
work, and that's huge.
Absolutely. I think in work situations too, we're often having a lot of businesses and not entrepreneurial businesses so much, but a lot of businesses create a hierarchy to keep us fighting for scraps.
Hmm.
So in that situation, we're always trying to answer first, to seem the smartest, to seem the fastest, to like
Yeah,
insert ourselves in that situation to show that we're the go-getter, to show that we're ambitious, all of the things. And that actually makes it so that we're not listening as deeply as we could be. So
hmm
it's a little bit of a balance. How do I show that I'm receptive, but still listen deeply so I understand what's actually happening in the room?
absolutely. This is some powerful things because this communication, if you cannot communicate, you cannot get anything done. Just you
It's true.
won't get unless you're going to do it all yourself. And you still can't do that. Well, I don't like to tell people they can't do anything, but it's very hard and difficult to do it. I want to ask you two questions. I know. So many questions I have for you. I'm like, we have to do another session. No, we'll be back. No.
Anytime.
Um, um, top three books that you would require or you would say are good for women that want to improve their communications.
Ooh, my very favorite book right now is a new book called Find Your Red Thread by Tamsin Webster. It is the book for messaging. If you have ideas and you just really need to understand how can I be clear, concise, how do I get my message across, how do I influence people, how do I develop content that is going to be accepted, how do I do sales? I mean, it has so many different applications. I can't even speak highly enough about it. So Find Your Red Thread by Tamsin Webster. It is out right now. That is my number
Okay.
one book. The second book I'm really loving right now is a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And the reason I love this book is because it's very personal to her. It's about her path and a journey that she took in her personal life.
Mhm.
And the part of it that I love the most, I mean, her story is compelling. I enjoy her voice in the book, but the part that I love about it the most is the way she talks about how women can liberate themselves from the artificial boxes that we put around ourselves, that society has put around us, that all of the different roles we are taking in society have put around us. So I really, really love and appreciate that book so much. And I think that I can't get back three books, just three. I guess my
Keep going. Keep going.
my third would be Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
You said.
And it is such a, I mean, Brene Brown is my bae. I love her. I don't know her, but if I ever see her, I'm gonna attach myself like a barnacle. I just love this woman. And the book, the book has a lot of talk around her interaction with shame and the way we kind of hold ourselves back, but in the context of how to be really a daring leader, how to lead people, how to lead movements in a way that is just very human and very humane.
Yeah, that's powerful. I love that.
So those are on my top list, but there are so many.
Keep
I'm thinking
going. If
like,
you have more, look, I'm
oh
not
my
going to
God.
stop you.
Okay. So if you have not read this yet, you have to read The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes.
Shonda Rhimes. It's a must read because she spent an entire year saying yes to everything after
Hmm.
being an introverted person that said no to just about everything. And her journey through that and just the empowerment that it gives you to consider not just whether you say or no, say yes or no, but to make the decision, to not
Mhm.
let it be a reflex.
Right.
Like I'm not going to say yes because I'm supposed to. I'm not going to say no because I feel fear.
Yeah.
Really, what do I want? Because there are easy yeses and hard yeses and easy no's and hard no's, but you might have to make all sorts of decisions. It's really
Mhm.
about a more mindful approach.
Keep going.
Oh,
I know it's more.
oh, oh my goodness. So there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kuhnman. And if you are a brain nerd, like I am a brain nerd, you need to read this book. It is dense. This is one of the thicker, it's going to take you, either you listen to it on tape or it's going to take you a while. It is a lot of stuff. But if you ever want to know a lot about how people think and the way they interact with you,
Mhm.
there is just no better tome, really.
Cool.
So those are my faves right now.
Awesome. Thank you. This is
You're
good
welcome.
stuff. Good. I'm eating all this is I like to eat good food and good information and just you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Now if the ladies would like to get in touch with you and they want a consultation or to connect, how do they connect with you?
Absolutely. So I wanted to offer all of the people who are coming to this summit a free consultation with me. So I'm
Uh,
going to, if anybody wants to contact me, you can email me at gina@growvoice.com and you will get 30 minutes if you put in the subject line the name of this conference so that I know that you came. Actually, why don't you write Kristen sent me? And if you say Kristen sent me, you're going to get 30 minutes of my time so that I can help diagnose whatever's going on with your voice and hopefully put you on a better footing than you were before.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, you give vocal lessons too, or just the voice with the communication? Or do you do?
I'm voice agnostic. So if somebody wants to sing or if somebody wants to speak, my goal is that people connect in the ways that they want to with their voice in a way that's empowering and powerful and communicative. So if somebody really wants to sing, I will usually still take on a voice student for singing. But for the most part, the people who end up coming to me are speakers or people who are undergoing big life changes, and there's a lot of things that communication touches, as you alluded to earlier. So the people who end up coming to me are probably more speakers now, but I still have some singers in the studio and I enjoy them.
That's awesome. I have to tell you this. You're so beautiful. I love your hair. I keep looking at it. I
Thank you.
love it. It's gorgeous. As I saw a picture of you with the black hair, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, your hair is gorgeous. Is
Thank
that
you.
the
So
natural?
this is the pandemic chic, right? So we entered the pandemic and
Chic.
my hair, the pandemic was so intense that my hair turned gray.
Oh.
Now, what happened is I no longer had ready access to my
Oh,
colorist. And so as the gray was coming in, I've been fighting it I mean, I've been going gray since I was 17. And
wow.
so it's not that uncommon among Latin American girls who have truly black hair. Our hair starts to turn early. And I don't know what it is with black hair that turns gray. It's a weird fluke. I guess we're all mixed with so many weird things that,
We are,
that's,
yeah.
that's just what happens. So it's been going gray for a long time, and I fought it for a long time, but the pandemic put me in a situation where I cut off all of the dye and just have been growing it back in. So it's,
Oh, it's so pretty.
multicolored gray, and I'm actually
You
really
know,
liking it.
yeah, I'm telling you, girls are now they're coloring their hair. They're trying to get the look,
Yeah,
You have it.
somebody asked me where I got my low lights, and I'm like, oh,
God, no. Natural.
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
It is. It's gorgeous. I had to tell you, and I
Oh,
was,
thank you.
we're in this. But ladies, we know we like to look good, so that is a part of it. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. We definitely, and I'm going to connect with you because I'll get my
Wonderful.
consultation too.
Wonderful.
But thank you. We appreciate it. And ladies, I hope that you take heed to what you've learned today and that you can communicate clearer and with better understanding and intention and know why you want to communicate. And Gina, thank you for, again, I keep saying thank you, but I truly appreciate this communication interview and hope to connect with you again as well. Have a
Wonderful. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.